Welcome to Breakfast at Beverley's, the podcast that takes you on a journey through the fascinating world of transport and logistics. Join your host, Beverley Bell CBE, an industry expert and former senior traffic commissioner, as she navigates the highways and byways of the industry. From sunrise to sunset, we're here to accompany you on the road, bringing you insights, advice, and thought-provoking conversations with notable guests in the field. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Welcome to these on-location special episodes of Breakfast at Beverley's. Today I'm thrilled to introduce Emma Thompson, who is the Executive Director of the Society of Operations Engineers. With over 22 years of industry experience, Emma has seen the ever-changing landscapes of our sectors firsthand. Her vital and important work at SOE directly influences transport standards and addresses important issues such as diversity and the skills gap. I'm thoroughly looking forward to chatting with Emma today, who's kindly hosting us at her wonderful offices. Thank you. So, Emma, thank you very much indeed for inviting us to your lovely offices. Normally, if you come to the Isle of Wight, we would have plied you with French pastries and croissant and yoghurt and blueberries. But what have you had for breakfast at home this morning?
It's a very boring breakfast, Beverley.
I'm sure you could never be boring, Emma.
Well, now I'm letting you into a little secret.
Okay, can I just tell you, we have listeners. Are you happy for them to know?
I suppose so.
Go on then.
I suppose so. So 3 months of the year, I have a bit of a health regime and I have protein shakes for breakfast and lunch. And this is so I can fit into dresses for the CV show in April. So now everyone knows my secret, I'm afraid.
I know, I love it. I love the fact you do that for 3 months of the year and not for 12.
Yes.
So my little secret is I've just been to a health resort and done a detox for 5 days. So I'm transforming my eating habits. So let's compare notes in 3 months' time. So thank you for inviting us here. And I want to talk to you about quite a lot of things today. So we might have to divide this into 2 sessions. I want to hear first of all about you and how you came to be the Executive Director of the prestigious organisation that's the SOE. When did you first start working for the organisation?
So I joined SOE in March 2003 and my role here was a receptionist. And a funny story is when I first came to SOE, this is before GPS, found the building fine, no problem. I was then invited for a second interview. Subsequently, I got lost and had to phone up and say, I'm really sorry, I have an interview. I'm running around 15 minutes late. But luckily for me, they offered me a role.
And the rest is history, as they say.
It certainly is. When I joined as a receptionist, I soon got quite bored of that and I wanted to do new things. And I saw that there was so much opportunity at SOE. And one of the things that I implemented was room hire. So offering clients meeting room opportunities at our offices. And so I did that for 2 years. I then got a little bit bored of that and thought, what else can I do?
You've got a low boredom threshold.
I have, and one of those people that has to be busy all the time. And Ian Chisholm, who was our CEO, before then he was our head of technical.
Well, anybody who's listening who is part of SOE will remember Ian and his lovely wife with huge fondness.
Most definitely.
Great affection.
Definitely. Ian I saw as a mentor and he often would make comments saying, Emma, you can do so much more here. And one day he said to me, Emma, I think you'd be great doing events. So I got involved in events. A year later, the events manager had left and Ian offered me the role as the events manager. So I did that for a few years. In 2008, the recession hit and unfortunately we had to make some redundancies. So I was not only the events manager, I was also supporting our then Chief Executive, Nick Jones, as his PA. Then work really took off again. In 2013, I then just did the PA role and we got someone else to run the events for the organisation.
Just before you move on, can I just ask, why on earth did you apply to a Society of Operations Engineers as a receptionist? What sold it to you, Emma?
Engineering.
Why?
Because it's so vast and so diverse.
What were you doing before?
So before then, I was a PA for an IT company in Neasden in Wembley.
Right. So you went from IT to engineering because you
did.
thought it was diverse.
I did.
Were you
yes.
shocked when you then found out it wasn't? Or do you think it was?
I actually thought it was, but also engineering is not just about, transport. There is
Of course.
IT elements and other elements with the environment included, and I wanted to be part of that. And it really did stand out for me. So, in 2013, I then became the PA, but then our building was starting to fall apart a bit. And Ian Chisholm then became our CEO. And he asked me to project manage the building, and we had a complete refit.
I remember, because obviously I was involved with SOE at the time. It's no small task, is it, to project manage? I think a £3 million refurbishment project. I can remember when this building was back to the bare bones, literally, and there were acro props all over. Was there ever a time where you used to lay awake at night and think, oh my gosh, I hope it doesn't all fall down in the night?
I absolutely did. It was so bad that I used to wake up in the night and just have phone calls just to make sure everything was in hand. But it was, and I worked with a great team of people, and I had great support from Ian and the board of directors here at SOE. And within 4 months, you wouldn't have believed that, I used to come on site weekly with my hard hat, steel cap boots, and do weekly checks with the team, to then walking in thinking this is not going to be finished in time. And it was on the 8th of April 2016 we completed. And I believe in that summer you opened up the building officially for us.
I certainly did, and may have had a glass of champagne to celebrate.
We did indeed.
So SOE is celebrating 25 years this year, quarter of a century.
Yes.
You're now the executive director.
Yes.
What do you do in that role?
So I work very closely with our trustee board. So they're there to predominantly focus on strategy for the business, and I would manage the operational side of the business. But I would have monthly meetings with them just to see how things are going, keep them up to date. But also I ensure that we're doing everything we can to support our members. We have a very personable approach.
Yeah.
And, our members come first. So supporting them with CPD, with mentoring, with events and guidance is really pivotal to the role.
And in addition to all that, you're actually just running the business as well.
I am,
aren't
yes.
you, Emma? Don't hide your light under a bushel.
Yeah.
So for any aspiring young people who might be listening to this podcast, what's your message to them? Doesn't matter what their gender is, from being frontline receptionist to running the business. What's your message to them?
I would say there are no boundaries. I would say that the world is your oyster, and don't give up. Keep going.
Even when people might put barriers in your way, or where you might put your own barriers. You hear people talk sometimes about imposter syndrome.
Yes.
Is that anything you've ever suffered from?
Oh, most definitely. And you often feel a bit pushback, but you dust yourself off and you get back up and you be nice, because being pleasant doesn't cost anything.
No, it doesn't.
And it goes a long way.
Okay. So let's talk generally about diversity. When we were having a chat before the show, I made a little joke about Ashley Banjo.
Yeah.
But just talking generally about diversity in the sector, and of course SOE encompasses a number of sectors. Do you think that the sectors are more diverse than they were back in 2003 when you walked in as a receptionist? Or do you think it's the same, or do you think it's worse?
I think we've certainly come a long way to where it was 22 years ago. Now it's more, you feel more included. For example, I could be in a meeting, be the only female person present, but I do have a voice and I feel I can get my point across. I won't lie, there have been times when I've been said, oh, are you here to take minutes? And I would quickly correct them and say, no, I'm here to participate in your meeting today. But I think, SOE is also very much involved into ensuring that we are inclusive and diverse as we can be. And that's why we implement the diversity framework set by the Royal Academy of Engineering. And we do this yearly. to make sure that we are doing our utmost and also to support our members.
Okay, so I'll come on to that in a moment, but just in terms of you, I'm interested really in your story and how you get to the top of the organisation, as I say, over a number of years. There was a time when you left, wasn't there?
There was.
Did you have a spat? Did you have another tiff? What happened?
At that time in my career, I was the PA and office manager. And I felt that I'd reached a point where I couldn't go any further. There was no more progression for me here. But I still had this fondness for engineering. So in that time, I then moved to another company that worked on actually designing and implementing engineering in their everyday job, working on projects. The company I worked for implemented the velodrome for the Olympics, which was fascinating. But shortly after I joined them in February 2022, Daniel Moyer, who used to be the COO here.
Again, we know and love.
We do indeed. He called me 2 months later to ask me if I could go back as a consultant for SOE.
What was it like going back?
It was if I never left.
Right.
And it was almost, I had welcoming arms and I was part of the furniture. And I'd be honest, I did miss it dearly. And I was really happy to go back. But then I found that, doing a consulting work for the society as well as having a full-time job and being a parent was quite hard work, and that I realised that I couldn't do two jobs. So I then had a conversation with our trustee board and said, I really do enjoy this, but I can't do both. And in October 2023, the trustee board thought about this. I went on holiday and I came back to an offer letter, and they asked me to come back full-time from January 2024 as a head of business operations. And I must admit, that was one of the best days of my life. It was as if I was coming home again. And I accepted the offer and I haven't looked back. So I then became head of business operations from January last year. But then in April, I was made the designate executive director and then was given the permanent role last September.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And you're loving it.
I am indeed.
And you've got a low boredom threshold. In 5 years, you're going to say to the board, I'm bored now, I'm going to go off and do something else.
No, definitely not. It's all about what else can we offer our members. I'm very much, here to support our members and see membership grow.
Okay. So just talking before we talk about members, can we talk about the board?
Yes.
Because I obviously used to have some involvement with SOE. Lovely board, but not known for having more ladies than men. Yes?
Correct.
How do you get that balance between board members of all ages, from all backgrounds, and of all different demographics? How do you do that? How do you ask people to join your board? Obviously, they have to be members of the association to be on the board. How do you encourage applications?
So a lot of this is done through collaboration, so meeting people, working with them on events, or just a steering group meeting. And we've been very fortunate where we now have 2 female board members. So we've got Caroline Harries.
And what does Caroline do?
Caroline's got a governance background.
Right.
And she comes in as our honorary secretary.
Right. Okay.
So she has governance background as well as leadership and training.
Okay.
So she has a really good niche in that market to help support us.
Okay. And who's your other female co-op?
So we've just appointed Laura Hazick from JMW.
Yes.
And she's a co-opted board member. Now, Laura is just been given a woman in bus and coach role as well.
Yes.
She stands a lot for industry. She understands what's needed, but also she has a lot of background that we could really use
benefit
that
from.
Knowledge. Yes, and benefit from it.
Okay. And are you looking for a third co-optee? Or is this a continuous process, or is the board limited to how many co-optees it can have?
The board is limited to 3 co-opted members. We've now got our co-opted members for this moment in time, but this is
who's
reviewed.
Your third one? Who's your third co-opted?
So we have David Young, who is an engineer for lift surveying, but he's also been a board member previously, and he has a lot of experience and a breadth of knowledge.
Okay, so that's a little bit about the board. Can I ask now about your members? Okay, you say your members come first. Any professional membership organisation like yourselves will face challenges. We live in a very different world. It's changing really quickly. How do you, well, first of all, do you see membership as a challenge? And then how do you retain, but secondly, recruit?
Membership is a challenge, and it is for any professional
Yes.
engineering
Yes.
institution.
Or any institution.
Exactly. But what you have to remember is, why is that member going to stay with you? And it's about
Yes.
your member offering.
So what is the member offering?
So our member offering has changed. So in the last year, we now have included the mentoring platform, which offers our members and student members an opportunity to be paired up with a mentor to help support them in their career development. It could be that they want to know what the next steps are once they leave university, for example, or they're an apprentice. What do they do next once they achieve that? Or it could be that they want a change of career within the engineering world, and how we can help them do that.
So where do you get your members from? Let's say that I'm, God forbid, a commercial vehicle engineer, and most of my staff are in their early 50s, and some of them want to take early retirement, and I need to get new young people in and attract them in. Do you assist with that? Do you help with that? How does it work?
So we work very closely with some organisations like DAF and
Yes.
Remit that can take up to 3,000 new apprentices in each year.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's phenomenal. But it's also about making sure that those apprentices are engaged during their tenure as an apprentice. So we work closely with them on how we can help them achieve that, and how they can then also stay in post, because like myself, they get bored quickly. So we just need to make sure that they've got everything that they need. And having things like a mentoring platform, but also a way of building up their continuous professional development via CPD platform, will help achieve that for them.
So how do we get them in at an early age? Because, I don't want to talk about drivers today very much, but clearly one of the barriers for drivers is the fact that you can't necessarily get your, lorry licence, to speak colloquially, until you're much older, by which time you've lost a lot of them. How do you get new vehicle technicians in at that early age? Is it about encouraging your members through the companies they work for to engage at primary school level, to engage at secondary school level before it's too late?
It's not only that, it's also using STEM. So one of the things we're doing this year is creating a STEM ambassador group.
Right.
Which will then enable our members to talk to primary age school children, to try and engage with them, because I don't feel that they understand what engineering is. It's not spoke about as an everyday job. Most children you speak to, they want to become a doctor or a teacher. They don't talk about engineering in any way, shape or form.
Or an influencer.
Exactly. I mean, I'm quite fortunate. My son, who's 11, has already told me he wants to become a mechanical engineer.
Wow.
Which I'm fascinated by. So we definitely have one in the making, but it's about influencing young people and explaining, the world is your oyster. And some children nowadays love taking things apart.
Oh, yes.
Why don't you take apart a vehicle? I'm sure they'd have fun doing that.
Definitely, if they can actually practice it.
Yes.
I don't know, do they still make Meccano sets?
They do indeed, yes, very much. And my son can tell you that he often takes them apart and rebuilds them again.
Well, I never did Meccano, but Lego was my favourite. But that was when I was a parent and now a grandparent. I used to buy my son Lego for Christmas and birthday, and then I would proceed to make the fire station or whatever it happened to be while he watched.
Yeah.
No, I'm sort of slightly teasing. So obviously STEM's really important.
Yes.
And because SOE is very diverse in terms of what it covers, we want to focus really on transport and logistics. Do you do any work with generation logistics? Do you know, for example, the fabulous Bethany Windsor?
I do indeed. I met Bethany first at the Macrolise conference, and then last Monday I was invited to a skills meeting which she was participating on, and we're talking about addressing the skills gap and what our industry is doing. Now we come from a professional engineering body, whereas Logistics UK are a trade association, but also working with SMMT as well.
Yeah.
And talking about, what we're doing currently and what we need to change. And it's about going to Parliament with a paper to say this is what we need to do, but getting the evidence to back that up and supplying them with that. But also, I know that it's not up to government to fix it, but also just getting our point across to make them understand with, all the changes to the way apprentices apply for their apprentice now, and the different levels there are now. And it's just getting that point across, especially with the endpoint assessment changing also.
So does it start with the sector itself, or does it start with the government?
I think it starts with the sector, because it's us that know it and breathe it, and we can push it. But I think it would be really appreciative if government could back it and show that they support it, what we're doing.
Okay, so, and do you engage with the trade associations as well to make sure
we
that
do.
you're all working together, because then obviously you're a stronger voice, aren't you?
Yes, we are indeed, and we do that often. It's important to collaborate with trade associations and other respective bodies, because you having that one voice, it shows that you're united.
Absolutely. So we've talked for about 20 minutes. So we're going to leave it there. And then next time when we speak, I'm going to ask you about some big ticket items.
Okay.
So I think we'll have our coffee break and then we'll carry on.
Okay,
Thank you very much, Emma.
As we conclude another fascinating journey through the world of transport and logistics, we want to express our sincere appreciation for listening. Your support means the world to us. Keep the conversation going by reaching out on social media with your questions and feedback. We're eager to hear from you and continue exploring together. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and check out our other episodes online. Take care on the roads, and see you in the next episode.